Hi, I'm Michel. I want to share another really big passion of mine, and that's Formula One. When I was a very little boy, like 7 years old, I broke my leg, and when I was in the hospital, my uncle brought me a Formula One magazine called Power Slide on my hospital bed. He brought me like maybe 20 issues, and after 20 issues, there were like 5 covers with Jo Siffert. Jo Siffert at the time was driving for Ferrari, and he was one of the very few famous Swiss Formula One pilots. I want to make this very short. I asked my uncle, could you please have Jo Siffert sign a copy for me? 2 days passed, had a knock on my door, and Jo Siffert himself was standing in my hospital room with a stack of the last Power Slide magazine signed Jo Siffert. A few weeks later, I was in Silverstone on my first Formula One race with Jo Siffert in the pit lane. That was my first introduction to Formula One. From that day on, I followed obsessively every race. There were a lot of tragedies in these years, a lot of people had accidents, but Formula One became a very big part of my life. Many years later, I got a phone call. You have an opportunity to shoot Michael Schumacher. Michael Schumacher was the upcoming star in the Benetton team. Everybody said he's going to be the new star after Zimmer. I said, when? He said, tomorrow. I looked at my schedule, I said, impossible. He said, Michel, I would advise you to do this. Next morning, we're on the track, nobody. I said, what the hell's going on? We're supposed to shoot Michael Schumacher. Nothing. He waited around, there was barely anything to eat. 2 o'clock in the afternoon, suddenly, Millie Weber arrived, his manager, and Flavio Briatore. They said, you're gonna see Michael, he's late. His plane is coming in late. He's arriving, he has not driven yet. So you have exactly 30 minutes or 20 minutes with him. And I said, well, I have to do a big story. I have to do 20 minutes is not enough. And he said, well, that's all you have, maybe 30, maybe 30. It depends on the mood of Michael. A few minutes later, Michael arrives with his Benetton overall wrapped down to his chest. He said, so, what do you want to do? Where's your camera? Oh, my camera is not here. And he said, well, you know, you have not very much time. So I grabbed my Leica and I made a sign to my assistants and I said, I want to walk the track with you. And he looked at me, he said, well, but I thought you want to take my picture. I said, no, I want to walk the track, I want to understand what you feel when you're driving. And Michael looked at me very, he said, you know, we have very little time. I said, well, let's go, let's take it from here. Maybe I can come back tomorrow, because because the race was 3 days afterwards. So we arrived on Thursday and the race was on Sunday. I was hoping for a second chance. Well, anyway, I took Michael on the track and we started walking, and suddenly his eyes started lighting up, and he started talking like he was driving. Now here I go first, second, I'm at 150 and so RPM, and here I shift down, and he started walking faster. I walked backwards, but I didn't take my camera. I looked at him. My back camera was still on my shoulder. I didn't take any pictures. I looked at him and he came walking, speaking louder and louder, agitating, talking with his hands, and around half of the track he said, well, you should really take your camera and take some pictures. And no, I want to hear you talking. We kept walking, he kept telling me, explaining every detail, what he was doing in the car, how he was driving the car. He looked at his watch and he said, yeah, you're 30 minutes over. And I said, yeah, but I'm staying. He said, well, what do you mean you're staying? I'm staying, I'm not going to go anywhere. He looked at me, he said, follow me. He walked to the pits, and his team was like preparing a car, a Benetton car. Renault was standing in the pit lane. Flavio, follow me. Willy Weber, with a big smile, he looked at me and he goes like this. He likes you. Michael makes a sign to Willy Weber and Flavio. He stays. Gets in the car. Take your camera, my assistants come running, equipment. I had at the time still my 8x10 camera, my Pentaxes. Suddenly I was surrounded with Pentaxes. They set up the 8x10 camera parallel to the track, and I started shooting Michael. He put on his suit, he went to the board, he talked with Willy Weber. Engine started going. I started clicking, clack, 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 clack. He went towards the car, talked to the mechanics. They took the tire pressure outside. A gentleman coming, very, very funny, very chubby, dark glasses, his ears covered, a little deaf. My name is Pat Bear. I'm gonna tell you what to do and what not to do. And you better listen. Big grin on his face. Michael gets in the car. Engine firing, grain. They push the car onto the track. I set my 8x10 camera. I got my assistant ready, Michelle McCabe, and she was laying on the floor. I was here with my Pentax, start shooting, and Michael disappeared. I run onto the track, and there was the track division wall, and I sat on that wall. I told my assistants to go in the first curve. I told my other assistant to go in the other one, and I made a sign to Michel to start taking frames by 8x10. This went on for about 30 minutes. I moved spot, went into the first chicane. I started taking pictures of my first Formula One pictures. This lasted about 45 minutes. Michael makes a sign. I go back to the pit lane. Michael comes out of the car and gets out, and he said, by the way, where are you staying tonight? And I said, well, I mean, the same hotel as you. He said, no, I think I'm going to sleep in my van here. Do you want to sleep in my van and have dinner together? I looked at him in awe. He said, yeah, it's not very comfortable. We don't have any blankets, but you can sleep in my trailer. By the way, you're staying until after the race. I will talk to Pat, and you'll be working until after the race, and you have all access everybody else has. I said, no, I want all access. I don't want access like everybody else. I want all access. He said, well, you talk to Pat, and then you have to talk to Racco Pasquale. Well, the day ended, and Michael and me, we had dinner in the trailer. And this was my introduction to Michael's world. That's it for today, and we're going to continue tomorrow.